Hey, welcome. Have you ever been watching a soccer match and seen one of those free kicks that just seems to defy all logic? You know the one, it curves in this impossible arc, completely fooling the goalie and slamming into the back of the net. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible physics that makes it all happen.
Yeah, that famous question from the movie, but it's a real puzzle, one that scientists and athletes have been obsessed with for a long, long time. So really, how do the best players in the world make a ball swerve and dip so dramatically through the air?
And look, I get it. It seems impossible, right? Like some kind of magic trick. But there's no sorcery involved here. It's actually a beautiful, elegant, and totally explainable principle of physics at work. So let's get right into the science behind it.
So the secret, it actually has a name. It's called the Magnus Effect. And this is the hidden force, the scientific principle that's pulling the strings every time a spinning object flies through the air, whether it's a soccer ball, a baseball, or anything else.
It's named after a German physicist, Heinrich Gustav Magnus, who figured this all out way back in 1852. Basically, it's all about what happens when a spinning thing moves through a fluid, in this case, the air. That interaction is what creates a sideways force that literally pushes the ball off its straight path.
So how does this actually work on the field? Well, believe it or not, it's a pretty straightforward 5-step process. First, the kick. The player has to hit the ball off-center to get it spinning. As it flies, one side of the ball is spinning with the direction of the air, which makes the air on that side speed up. Meanwhile, the other side is spinning against the air, slowing it down. And here's the key. Faster-moving air has lower pressure, and slower-moving air has higher pressure. That pressure difference creates a force, and boom, the ball gets pushed from high pressure to low pressure. And there's your curve.
In this diagram, it just lays it all out perfectly. You can see how the spin messes with the airflow. That red area is the high-pressure zone, and the blue is the low-pressure zone. That imbalance creates a net force. You see it marked here as F, that literally shoves the ball sideways and gives you that beautiful, bending shot. And what's really cool is that this all ties back to one of the most fundamental laws of physics we all learned in school, Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The spinning ball is deflecting the air in one direction, so the air pushes back on the ball in the opposite direction. It's that simple and that powerful.
Okay, but here's where things get really interesting. The story is not that simple, because the Magnus Effect has a wild twist, and it all comes down to the surface of the ball itself. So, let me ask you this. We've been talking about a normal soccer ball, with its stitches and texture. But what if you kicked a perfectly, completely smooth ball with the exact same spin? What do you think would happen?
Get this. It would actually curve in the opposite direction. The wrong way. I know, it sounds crazy, right? This is called the negative or inverse Magnus effect. Same kick, same spin, but a totally reversed curve. So what on earth is going on here?
It all comes down to this tiny layer of air that's right up against the ball's surface. On a normal, rough ball, that surface texture creates a chaotic, turbulent air layer. Think of it like a messy, churning river. That turbulence actually helps the air cling to the ball longer, deflecting it in the way we'd expect. But on a smooth ball, you get a sleek, laminar flow, like a calm, smooth river. That smooth layer separates from the ball much earlier, which completely flips the pressure zones and reverses the direction of the curve.
And look at this comparison right here. It's night and day. On the left, with the smooth ball, you can see the forces pushing against the direction of the spin. But on the right, with the rough ball, the force goes with the spin. The only thing that changed was the texture. It's wild.
And hey, this isn't just some lab experiment. You remember the 2010 World Cup, right? That infamous Jabulani ball? It was designed to be smoother than previous balls. The idea was to make it fly truer, but instead, it made it an absolute nightmare. At certain speeds, it would experience that inverse Magnus effect, causing it to swerve and dip unpredictably. It drove goalkeepers absolutely nuts.
Now this whole effect is way more than just a trick on the soccer field. Engineers have actually harnessed this thing for some seriously mind-blowing applications, from weird-looking airplanes to massive ocean-going ships. I mean, just look at this thing. This is an experimental plane from the 1930s. And if you're thinking, where are the wings? Well, it doesn't really have them. Instead, it used those giant rotating cylinders. The spin generated lift thanks to the Magnus effect, and that's how it flew. Incredible. And it's not just some old-timey experiment either. We're talking NASA. They tested this idea out on an aircraft by putting a rotating cylinder on the leading edge of the wing. and that one simple change massively increased the wing's lift. It just goes to show how powerful this force really is.
And the list just keeps going. You've got these incredible rotor ships that use massive spinning towers to catch the wind and help push the ship forward. In the military, you have to precisely account for the Magnus Effect in long-range ballistics. And of course, you see it all over the world of sports. It's the secret to a wicked curveball in baseball, a slice in golf, and the swing of a cricket ball.
Okay, so we've covered real-world engineering. Now let's jump into the world of Hollywood myth. Can you take this same physics-bending effect and apply it to something way smaller and way faster, like a bullet?
You've probably seen the movie Wanted, right? Where the assassins have this incredible skill to flick their wrists and literally curve bullets around corners and obstacles. It looks awesome on screen, but is there any real physics behind it? So the short answer? Absolutely not. No way. And you don't have to take my word for it. The awesome team at Mythbusters tackled this one. They even built a machine that could whip a gun around with superhuman force. And the result? Every single time, the bullet flew perfectly straight. So why does it work for a big old soccer ball but not a tiny bullet? Well, it really comes down to two things: spin and shape. A soccer ball is spun perpendicular to its flight path, like a top on its side, and that's what generates the sideways force. A bullet is spun parallel to its flight path, like a perfectly thrown spiral in football. That's for stability, not for curving. Plus, the bullet is shaped to slice through the air with minimal resistance, not to be pushed around by it.
And that just brings us full circle, doesn't it? From the local sports park to an experimental NASA plane, the Magnus Effect is the perfect reminder that, as Professor John Bush said, even in the most commonplace things, there is subtle and interesting physics. So the next time you see that perfect free kick bend around a wall of defenders, you'll know. It's not magic. It's just physics doing something truly beautiful.